Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for checking in and taking the time today. I have James Mason and David Dixon with MDE back again to give some information about what's going on in this crazy world right now and all some good news about mortgages. So let's get started. James, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's been changing and happening in the last 10 days since we talked?
Thanks, Ellie. Appreciate it. Thanks. It's great to be back on the call with both of you, and a lot of exciting things going on. It's I think the industry has certainly has changed for the positive in the last couple of weeks. I do have a few bullet points that I want to touch on today, just to give everybody a little bit more insight and overview. The first piece is a lot of people might have read about the servicing aspect and how a lot of the servicers out there are very hesitant to take on more business. But there is positive news that the government has set up a facility to help a lot of these servicing agents with the payments that go to the end bond investors. For example, a lot of the homeowners, there's a kind of a 20 to 40% target number on. I know that that's a big range of homeowners that will not pay the mortgage for the next 3 to 6 months. And the government has stepped up and is going to help these servicing agents with those payments that go out to the insurance funds and the pension funds and the bond funds. So what that means is, which I think is is great news for the lending world and for the housing market, is that now servicers will want to get back into the market because they know that the government is there to backstop them. That was one of the biggest challenges 2 and 3 weeks ago, is that servicers really didn't want to take on more business, because why would they want to take more on if they don't have the comfort that the government is there yet, and that that their cash flow payments coming in from the homeowners would be non-existent. So I think that's probably the biggest positive piece. We've seen that reflected in the pricing and the interest rates, both from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. There's been a lot more what they call SRP into the interest rates, which is which helps originators, which helps loan officers help their buyers get lower interest rates, work with buy downs, able to do refinances. So huge positive that we've seen recently. I think that's just the start of it as well. I think we're going to be seeing that into the VA and the FHA loans as well. So light at the end of the tunnel. Very positive news. Let's keep the momentum going. And
could you explain what the servicing companies are for for the everyday person? Whether it's Loan Care or any of those companies that take over the loan. Just explain that, what you mean by servicing.
So the servicing agent is the one that you physically write your check to every month. They're probably not the entity that you took the loan out from. Gotcha. So the company that lent you the money sells the rights to the servicing, and the servicer collects your payment, which then they have the fiduciary responsibility to pay the bondholders, to pay the property taxes, and to pay the homeowner's insurance on a monthly basis. Gotcha. So they're just an agent that's going to collect the money. But even though a homeowner, if they default on their payment and they make zero payment that month, that servicing agent still has the financial obligation to pay the township, the insurance, and the bondholders.
Gotcha. Okay, great. I just want to make sure that everybody understood who you were talking about.
Great question. Great question. Small banks versus big banks. The big banks being the Wells Fargo, the Bank of Americas of the world, they've taken on a lot more risk over the last couple of weeks, and they have really tightened up the guidelines on who they're willing to lend to. I think the big banks have, they've taken in a lot of volume based on refinancing. They have a lot of challenging loans in their portfolio and on their books that they're trying to sort out. So as a result, you're going to see the big banks they really don't want to lend right now. Now, they're certainly, in my opinion, not going to come out and say that publicly. But if you look at their interest rates, if you look at their guidelines, they really don't want to be in the market right now. which I think is a huge advantage for smaller banks like MDE Home Loans, like some other smaller banks that, that everyone listening on the call might work with, from time to time. That the smaller banks are the ones that, in my opinion, are getting things done. Their guidelines may have changed a little bit, but they don't have the huge portfolio of risk that a big bank would. So, contact your loan officer. Certainly, MDE Home Loans is here for you. To get creative, to see how we can right fit, a specific product or a specific situation or challenge, that the big banks are not lending to. Given the halfway through April, here we are.
I know. It's crazy how time has flown or not flown. I don't know which way it went. Ask me what day. I don't know.
Well, just to piggyback off what James is saying right now, I think that's where we're thriving, is consulting our borrowers on, where they stand. They have the time now while they're home to take a look at their credit, see where they stand on a pre-approval. And it's amazing where people don't think they can get qualified, but we can get them qualified. I was just reading an article with James is saying Chase is at 700 for a credit score. We just got someone approved with a 649 credit score, and they were shocked. It's, they need to be educated.
Yeah. And,
during this time, you have a 679 credit score. Let's get your credit up to over 680. That's a big jump. It could be a 0.5% interest rate. Let's get you to a 720. Let's look at your credit. What can you do to go to the next level? So when you do find a house, you're a stronger borrower. And instead of maybe being FHA, you go to conventional. Yeah. Instead of putting 3.5% down, what is your 30, 60, 90-day goal here? And instead of, like I said, 3.5%, let's get you to 5%. Let's flip you to a whole different program. And I think once they start getting educated, they get more excited.
Well, even with the refinances, the simple fact that people can skip a mortgage payment, right now, if you do have some issues going on or anything that you really are concerned about what's to come with your finances and things, like, getting in touch and getting a refi in place, just so you could skip a mortgage payment could be helpful for anybody rather than having an extra expense later down the road. As we touched last time, changing around the actual rate extension with the years, that could really affect you greatly with being able to get you in the same payment or better. James, do you want to talk a little bit about rates as we're chatting about it right now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Rates are still low. There's been a lot of volatility in the last couple of weeks. When I was talking about the servicers, how they didn't want to lend, that's when we saw rates go up a little bit. But there is some thawing out now. The rates have trended back down, especially on the conventional side. We're back in the low 3s, high 2s, depending on your loan to value, depending on your credit score. So I encourage everyone, not only your buyers or the people that you're working with, but, for the people listening to this call as well, take advantage of this refinance opportunity. If you have a jumbo loan, you might want to think about splitting it into 2 loans, to really take advantage of the conforming rates, because, I think we're in historic lows, and, we might be in this kind of range for a while. I think the government's going to continue to keep rates low to help out just about every homeowner that that has a property, whether it be a primary home, a second home, or an investment property, and help them really take advantage of the low interest rates, because high 2s, low 3s is unprecedented. So and the costs and fees really aren't that expensive. MDE Home Loans has a program where we can have no closing costs, for the transaction. So a lot of people that just refinanced in the last 6 or 8 months maybe don't want to go through it, but consult your loan officer. Reach out to MDE and Mr. Dixon and see how we can do what's called a no closing cost loan, because there are ways to lower your rate without incurring the closing costs that you did previously.
No, that's all really great help. So why don't we talk a little bit, obviously, Freddie and Franny and all these other different names that all come out. You know, I might want to give a little bit of information as to what's happening on that end.
Freddie Mac, I think, has been the, Fannie and Freddie, as we all know, are the two agencies that are, backing and insuring all the conventional mortgages. Freddie has been a leader, like I was talking about earlier, with the interest rates. Freddie has its own underwriting system, and they have been on the forefront versus Fannie. I'm sure Fannie will follow suit here in the next day or two if they haven't already, as far as having the more attractive interest rates. That way, more buyers can reap the rewards of these lower interest rates. So, they are going to continue to keep Fannie and Freddie healthy because they do. They have the majority of the backing of all the mortgages done in this country. So, Ginny on the government side is going to be there soon as well. FHA and HUD, they earn a lot of revenue from all these government loans. As well as the Department of Veterans Affairs, they earn a lot of revenue from all these transactions across the country. So, while everyone might have went on a freeze for a couple of weeks. There's a lot of great things to come, and especially now. I mean, we're still in spring. We haven't hit summer yet, and the spring market is here. So, if we were going to have a cooling off period, February, March was probably the right time to do it. So, I'm very excited about the spring market and what's to come with these lower rates. Given the times that we're in.
Well, I keep laughing. I'm going, everybody asks me of like, what's the market going to be like this when everybody gets out of their house? I'm like, well, if you didn't like your house day one of quarantine, imagine what it's going to be at the last day of quarantine. I am going to be busier than ever, as well as you as well. So it'll be an interesting thing to see how that happens. Like, okay, thanks for the quarantine, guys. I'm glad everybody's healthy on the other end. Let's go into business,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What else do you want to touch on right now that you think is important for people to know?
I just want to touch on the credit repair as well. If you haven't had your credit analyzed or looked at, we can do it for you. No charge at all. We just pull up your credit report, and one of us at MDE can go through it with you and do a quick overview. We can forward you a copy to really see what's on there. And see if there's anything minor.
So important that some people don't even see the blip on the radar. I just had someone who had a derogatory for $15 and they had no idea.
Yeah.
And you know what? They paid it already, but they didn't even dispute it. They just paid it again and it came right off their credit. Their credit went up like 23 points.
Yeah.
And you don't even know because you're not pulling your credit every day. And you don't get notified. And it's the little things like that that put you into a whole nother tier. And that's why it's, this is a great time to do it. And just, even someone who's renting, let's see where you are. Why not buy the house you're in or buy something similar for the same price?
Yeah.
Take advantage of this time that you do have because we all have plenty of time right now.
Oh, I know.
I know we're all working from home, but
yeah.
there's still, to take a look and analyze your situation is very simple and it can put you into a whole nother level. And I think it's very important for people to educate themselves. Like I said, you can't just read the news. You need to reach out. I'm more than happy. Anyone, at MDE is happy to take and analyze your situation so you know where you are. I've had people call me and say, I can't afford a house. And I'm like, well, not today, but in 30 days you can. This is what you need to do. And you know what? Some people like almost are in tears. They're like, I had no idea I could do this.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So take advantage of this time. It's not all doom and gloom. Look at the positive things that can come out of it.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's a lot of, and I think just to close up the credit piece is that I think creditors are a lot more willing to help with little minor blemishes, given the environment. They're getting a lot of pushback from the government and different agencies to let's help every homeowner that we possibly can. So maybe it was a 30 or 60-day late. That was an oversight in the last 6 months. It's a lot easier to get that removed and we can show you how, and that could easily jump up your score 20, 30, 40 points. So, ask the questions, reach out, and, and we can certainly help you out with your, with the analysis of your credit report.
Very good. And obviously too, MDE is great with being able to be a very big resource in being creative. So this is one big thing to keep in mind when you are looking for mortgages, is to make sure you actually reach out to somebody that's not just going to take a look and give you, a real basic shot as to what happened, that really looks and dives deep into like what you're doing with your credit repair and all that good stuff, about how qualified you can be in a few days, about maybe changing your tier or anything like that when it comes to credit. Dave, how does everybody get in touch with you in order to, to get that process going?
They can always email me at ddixon, D-I-X-O-N, at mdehl.com, or, I take everything on my cell phone, 732-991-8149. Please call me. I'm more than happy to help.
And we'll put it in the comments below too. Or so obviously you can always reach out to us at the Infinity Real Estate Partners in order to get in touch with MDE if you can't find them, but they are right on the map. What else would you guys want to add today?
What else? I think we touched base on the, a lot of the key points of what's going on in the industry today, Ellie. I think, rates are still low. There's a lot of thawing out and a lot of positive things that have happened. And as we all know, the government's going to throw, everything at our economic system to make sure, that we don't slip back to the, to that D word. So,
yeah.
There's a, spring is here, rates are low. Get in touch with us so we can help your credit. But there's there's still a lot of good opportunities out there, whether you're looking to buy a home as a primary, second home, or even an investment property.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things to be out there, and the early bird gets the worm, right? While everybody else is sitting around not paying attention and focusing on what they're doing, there are some great opportunities to be had. Dave, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just a quick story. I had someone that called me to get pre-approved, and one of her concerns was, she said, there's no inventory out there. She's like, I can't find anything. And I said, who are you working with? She's like, well, I'm looking online. I actually referred her to someone, Jess, over in your group. Mm-hmm. And she really didn't understand there was virtual tours. So she's actually been, for the last couple of days, looking at houses, and she had no idea that they were out there. Yep. And so once again, you need to educate yourself and contact your realtor, contact us, and we'll show you the direction, where do you want to be? What are you looking to do? And, she called me last night. She's like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm home and I'm looking at houses. Yep. And I'm like, told you.
We had a buyer and seller get on FaceTime because, our Matterports don't show unfinished areas. So what else could we do? And the house is going in contract. So, I mean, it's an amazing thing what technology can do and to keep things moving, because the buyer's desire to buy a home has not changed. And I think more so it's getting stuck in your home that you don't want to be in. We'll be very busy, once the floodgates open up and we can get back to normal life, right?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Anything else anybody wants to add?
We're here if you need us.
Very good.
That's all I can say is we're always here, anytime.
Thank you, Ellie. And we look forward to the next call.
Definitely. James, Dave, thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you so much, Ellie.
Thanks.